There we go. Okay, cool. So I'll do a little bit about us and Trash Free Trails before we get going, because it's, for those of you who don't know, and even for those of you who do know, we've done a bit of a mission change recently that you might not be totally across some of the reasons for. And if you've got any questions throughout this whole process, particularly while I'm rambling on, just stick a hand up or stick the question in the chat, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. So yeah, we're a community interest company. We exist to protect our trails and the wild places they take us to. Our mission is to reconnect people with nature through the beautifully simple act of removing single-use pollution. And I like to add on a little bit sometimes from places we've come to know and love. So that feeling of belonging and ownership and connection is really what we're trying to foster here. So if you were to distill the problem, or one of the problems we're trying to tackle, and I would actually argue a lot of the problems in the world right now is due to one word, actually, disconnection, whether that's to people, like the other people you share these spaces with, the places themselves, or really interestingly yourself. And that's kind of where that nature connection conversation comes in, because I don't think we view ourselves, or many people in this room do, but as society, we don't maybe view ourselves as part of nature perhaps as much as we could do. And that results in decisions made that maybe we could make in a different way if we understood the construct a little bit more. But all of that's a little bit by the side for this conversation, really. But just bear it in mind while we're talking, if you like. So we are a tiny, remote organization founded in COVID. So we kind of exist behind screens, and the mission that we have doesn't dictate for us really to all be in one place. So I'm up in Dundee. Dom, the founder and CEO, is in North Wales, and that's where a lot of our kind of main user base is. And Rachel, who's our other employee just now, is in the middle of London in Hackney. So where would we put our HQ? And more importantly, we don't want to be the kind of organization with a big fancy building and thousands of employees that has these rules and laws from up on high that say, you know, we think this is how you're going to do it, and then don't get any feedback from the people that are actually going to do it, like happens a lot it just happens a lot, doesn't it? So that's kind of what this is about for us. We want to hear from organizations, coffee shops, bike shops, outdoor centers, tour providers, mountain bike guides, you know, all the kind of people that are in this room and more, as to what you might want to see if you were interested in being a micro Trash Free Trails HQ. And we've called that a Trash Free Trails Community Hub, because at the center of the disconnection problem that I was talking about, or the solution, the center of the solution for the problem I was talking about, has to be community, and it has to be what communities can do together. But communities need a place to go sometimes, and sometimes they even need, as well as that, they need a person or a linchpin character and place to call their home, and to be a place where they can come learn a bit more about Trash Free Trails, come and learn a bit more about your business, come and learn a bit more about the projects that you plan to do with us, and then more about how they might be able to connect to themselves, the other people in the room, the other people in the space, and hopefully the places themselves. And, you know, more importantly, I know that Cycle Hub has a different issues, different trails, different people than Ollie does down in Bristol. So for us to come up with an overarching way to be a Trash Free Trails Community Hub doesn't really make any sense. So we've come up with some ideas, and we put a little PDF across. Hopefully a lot of you have seen that. Most of you have seen that. If you haven't, chuck it in the chat and we'll get it up soon. I might even put it up on screen in a little bit, just as a bit of a framework of stuff to talk about maybe. But that's really just what we think, you know. I've worked in coffee shops, worked in restaurants, I've had a go in a bike shop, but I'm not a manager of any of those places, so I wouldn't pretend to tell you how to do your job. And that's what this is all about. So I'll hand over to Ollie just now, if that's okay. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about his journey with us, pedal progression's journey with us, and what we might be able to do this year and beyond. So yeah, over to you, Ollie.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Yeah, I'm Ollie. I run Pedal Progression. We're a mountain bike hire and skills coaching company based up at Ashton Court in Bristol. We got a really cool little trail by us, but one thing that I think makes us quite unique is we're very close to the city. So we've always been drawn to this. Well, we're all bikers, so we're all used to kind of getting out into nature, but the kind of connecting people who live in urban environments with the natural world has been kind of a thread that's run through our business for probably 10 years now. So we work with a lot of young people in schools, youth groups, community groups, and often people who don't normally get the opportunity to go mountain biking because of where they live, geographical location, and often economic and social kind of disadvantage sometimes, and just not really being not really seeing it. Mountain biking is quite an invisible sport, so we want to try and make it more visible so more people get the benefits. We kind of came across Trash-Free Trails pretty early on, actually. I think probably in the Trash-Free Trails' life, before you were sort of a formal organisation, and supported trail cleans at Ashton Court and Lee Woods, and other places in Bristol. Always kind of wanted to support what Trash-Free Trails does, and it also like the idea of it connecting us to like a kind of like a national picture of things going on nationally, and now like internationally. It's really cool to see how the Trash-Free Trails work has gone outside of the UK. We supported quite a few trail cleans in the early days, and then we became aware of the Trash Mob Academy, which was run up in Leeds initially, and we kind of reached out. I can't remember if you guys reached out to us or we reached out to you, or it kind of just happened at the same time. But we were working with a local group in a school, and also connected to a mental health charity for young people. And we managed to kind of put together another pilot program down in Bristol, and it was super good. Learned loads, got a bunch of young people out on bikes, and had some really good discussions around environmental issues and mental health and well-being, and how that stuff is kind of all connected. So that was a great project. We've also done things like we put on film nights where we've raised money for Trash-Free Trails. Really keen to like put back into what they're doing. So middle of last year, we heard about the idea of purposeful adventure, and again that really kind of clicked with us, being part of this kind of community of organisations that deliver purposeful adventure. So it's not just about getting out on your bike, but it's about kind of getting out with a purpose. And that kind of led into us. When I saw the email come out about community hubs, I was like, yeah, this is good. Like, we'd love to be involved with this. And I think, again, it's like being drawn to that. Like, you can often get stuck in your own little bubble, and it's nice to be drawn into a bigger network of other organisations so that you can connect with people across the country and learn from things that they're doing, and kind of bounce off ideas and take ideas from other places and do them yourself in your own way, in a way that's kind of targeted towards your local community and your customer base as well. We're a business, so whilst it's, you know, the community element is really important, but there is an element of us, the more people we connect with for our community, obviously there is some commercial benefit there, which you know, that's the reality of it. Yeah, so that's why we're really drawn towards the kind of idea of becoming a community hub. In terms of this year, we kind of starting to make plans now, and kind of earlier in January. There's always a lot of litter picks in Ashton Court actually, and Ashton Court is surprisingly clean. That's where we are, unless you go to the outskirts where people throw like rubbish over the walls. Actually, the mountain bikers and the trash on the trails is quite low level. So I thought what would be really good this year would be to try and do some outreach work. And we've got loads of pump tracks in Bristol. We're really lucky that we've got loads of pump tracks, and they're kind of in general parks. And so we thought it'd be nice to kind of do a bit more outreach work. Again, meet more people in their local communities where they are. We're meeting people who might not normally come up to Ashton Court, and just engaging with them and kind of spreading the Trash-Free Trails word out a little bit further, and yeah, doing it with people that we wouldn't necessarily normally meet. That way, we can meet more people, build our community, and inevitably have a bigger impact and pick up more bits of trash. So yeah, that's our 2023 plans. Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Great.
That's me.
Thanks so much, Ollie. And so just so everyone knows, I only gave the guys their little brief about 2 hours ago. So well done, Ollie, for coming up with all of that so quickly. Yeah, I think what we really like about working with the pedal compression guys is they kind of want to do all of the different bits, but that doesn't have to be how it is. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day, like, you don't have to agree or get involved with every single last thing. It just so happens that Ollie and the guys are up for that and they're able to do that. And that's great, but it doesn't have to be like that. I really like what you said about the outreach and stuff, and the fact that a lot of litter picking kind of happens. I think, well, before I go into that, actually, I think you guys could be you're basically a community hub anyway, with the, you're on the golf course, it's a really public place where everybody's there, you get, like, people see you, have the cafe and stuff anyway, so you have that kind of base, and it makes it a perfect place for people to come and learn a bit more about us if you're obviously up to do that. The outreach thing is really interesting, so that's a real sign of progress, right? So you did a few of the early stage litter picks, we did a couple of the Spring Trail Cleans grand finales with you guys. And yeah, we could do more of them, but why don't we actually try something different now? See if we can never have to do a Spring Trail Cleans grand finale at Ashton Court Trails again. And that's a really interesting way of looking at it. So a good example of that is a place called Tarland Trails. It's a brand new trail centre up in Aberdeenshire, Scotland's most awesome trail centre. From the horse's mouth, that is, as well. So apparently it actually is. I need to go up there. It's only an hour from me, but he got in touch and said, like, oh, I'm really interested in being a community hub. What can I do? And I went down the usual route that all you guys have seen, like, oh, please do a trail clean on Earth Day, please do a trail clean on World Environment Day, please do a trail clean, please do a trail clean, please do a trail clean. And he was like, whoa, I don't want to have to ever do a trail clean. How can we do that? And I was like, wow, okay, you've got me. So that's another thing to think about with all this. Like, we have our big trail clean moments, but what can we do so we're not still doing that in 10 years' time? Answers in the chat.
Can I just jump in there, Rich, if that's
yeah,
okay?
go for it, yeah.
Something that also really struck me, and I think it links to what you've just shared, Rich. Ollie, you said about the idea of like connecting with the community, also having like commercial success for your business as well. And I think that's a really great way to think about the potential that lies in this program. And like, one of the things we really hope for it, and we've kind of discussed it before we kind of launched it earlier in February, was the idea that especially with the economic situation we're in at the moment, it's not necessarily easy at the moment for small organizations, small businesses, but actually kind of connecting with your community and putting that time investment into things like this that might not necessarily seem exactly connected to what you're doing as a business or an organization, but really resonates with your community, is also something that's going to have longevity. It's going to be able to build you a customer base for the long term. People will more deeply invest with your organization and what you do. And also it builds that longer term investment with people in the place they live in. And, we really do feel at TFT that community is a really fundamental way we're going to change behavior around littering, by investing people in their local community, in their local area. We're going to offer people the chance to connect with a place and therefore not leave trash in it. So yeah, I think you really touched on something really important about how the long-term potential of this program as well. So it's really great to hear it almost without you even realizing that was what you were saying, Ollie. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I hope I said it at the beginning, this is very much a pilot in this phase, and that's the kind of thing that we'd love to see. We'd love to know that your sales have increased by this much, not as a direct result, but over the course of this time, we've connected with this many members of the community, we're now this much of a bigger business, or we've managed to employ an extra mechanic or an extra shop worker or something like that. So yeah, basically the undercurrent of all this is the feedback from you guys is just as important as anything else. And without it, we wouldn't have the project. So it's great to have everybody here, and thanks for everybody's input. So yeah, I'll hand over to Mike now. The reason I invited Mike to come is he's done some pretty incredible stuff, sometimes with one of our A-teamers, Matt Kenley, and sometimes just on his own. So I'll hand over to Mike now. And big up for the Trash Free Trails t-shirt in the background. Neither me or Rach could manage it tonight, so you're flying the flag.
There we go. Always on brand. So I hope everyone can hear me. We've had some quite technical issues on my side. There was 3 of me at one point. What have we done down here? So just after COVID, I started to become involved with Matt, the A-teamer, around doing trail cleans. We organised a couple, and actually volunteer-wise, we thought we did pretty well. We got around about 6 volunteers to help on an evening, and we cleared up a good 1.5 miles of trail. When I talk about trail, I live down in Cornwall, down in Weybridge, and we have one of the busiest pieces of cycle network in the UK, the Camel Trail. What entices a hell of a lot of tourists down, maybe never cycled before, or actually this is the first time they've been out in nature in a way that is different. So actually littering and single-use pollution isn't necessarily the locals, it's majority of visitors coming down. What we did is I have a very close working relationship with Paula, who of Weybridge Bike Shop, and before we kind of knew this pilot existed, we put into the motions that actually can we create a little hub within the town where we can actually pull people together. So we sat down and we tried to work out actually how can we get people engaged, and actually how can we get people also, if getting the bike shop buying, get people into the shop, because it's got to benefit everything in every way. So what we did a couple of weeks ago was open a registration day. So we had 2 dates set for the first half of the year. So we've got the 15th of April, the week before Earth Day, but it's the only day both me and Matt were available to deal with the numbers. And then we've got the 8th of May, which falls onto in the coronation. And that day is going to be set aside for volunteering. So the idea is that people go and volunteer in their community. So we thought, why not put an event on and let's see if people actually sign up to it. So we tried to entice people to come and commit to those days and actually sign a piece of paper, a little registration form saying, yeah, I'm actually keen to come and help. We publicised it through Facebook and Instagram, through the shop, through personal ones, and just let it share and go through there. So on the day, the bike shop was very, very nice to me and gave me some freebies, little bottles of muck off that we could use as a free gift to sign on, and if you attend a couple of cleans. On the day, we had just shy of 40 volunteers come in and sign up to either 1 or 2 of those days, which I thought was pretty good. By the end of the day, we had a couple more community groups come in. So I had the local scout group, I had some other people, had a couple of cycle groups. So I think at the moment, if we can get the numbers right, we're looking at 150 people to help across those 2 days. So what it's gone from, actually, realistically, I was expecting around about 5, maybe 10 people sign on, just because we've never tried this approach. Normally we'll just say, oh, we're doing a trail clean, pop along. Actually get them to sign up and commit to dates throughout the year. And a lot of people are turning it into like a family affair. It's like, actually, I'm going to bring the whole family. Let's go out and make it, all we're going to ask is 2 hours. We're not going to ask for a whole day. Nice, short, and actually the kids can enjoy it and also get that idea of, actually, let's get the younger generation looking after what they have in front of them. So I'm hoping on the 15th of April, we're going to have a hell of a lot of people turn up. I'm still in talks with a couple of the local cycling clubs. I'm very lucky to be sitting on the committee of Cornwall's biggest cycling club. So we've got 150 members and around about 135 of them are actually active. So if we can harness that power as well, they're really, really keen. But again, it's working out how we engage them to give up their time and to come and help. The other side of it, a crowd draws a crowd. So after the first clean and, the publicity of actually seeing all these people going out, the next clean, I'm expecting more people wanting to join. because it is going to build. They want to be part of it. They want to be part of the change and part of the slightly different side. So yeah, it's grown quite a lot of legs very, very quickly. And luckily, Trash-Free Trails Community Hub came out just after we planned all of this. So we kind of got the ball rolling, but it's very nice. It's all coming out at the same time kind of thing. So we've got hopefully going to get some nice bits and pieces and some shout outs, which will always be helpful. But going forward, I honestly think, and you could tell by the people that were there, that they honestly wanted to make a change. On a business side, there are people that went into that shop that may have never been in that shop before, and actually saw that bike shop for the first time, possibly. In the long-term side, and again, me and Paula do have a very good relationship. We can look into actually, do they translate into more footfall? Does it translate into actual sales? But again, time will tell. But actually getting the community together, especially after COVID, is probably more important than anything else. I've waffled for a bit. Hopefully I've answered everything. Richard, did I miss something?
You're bang on time, Mike. Thanks so much. Where to start, really? I mean, you know, like that. If Mike pulls off either of those trail cleans, it'll be the biggest trail clean Trash-Free Trails ever done. And it just goes to show the power of like pledges and commitments, and it also goes to show the power of people like Matt and people like Mike, and the power of people like Paula that have the space and the kind of passion to motivate that many people to even just sign a bit of paper. Because as soon as they sign the bit of paper, even if you know what it's like when you sign something, it's like, oh well, you know, I did sign it, even if it's just a bit of paper. So yeah, hopefully all of those people turn up and it's a great day, man. I think it's important to, you know, make, you know, it's not lost on me that this is very bikey right now. And that, you know, we started off as mountain bikers. It was, I think, 5 or 10 mountain bikers. Then the bike brands got interested and that attracted more mountain bikers, but that was never a thing. It was never supposed to be just mountain bikers, and it isn't just mountain bikers. So one of our most important values is, no pressure at all. One of the most important values is we are riders, runners and roamers, and everyone is welcome. So yes, the conversations that we've had just now are about bike shops, but doesn't matter. You know, it could be an office. And to be fair, we've put this out as a bike shop, running shop, coffee shop, that kind of thing. But it doesn't matter if you feel like your business or your office or whatever could be somewhere where people might like to gather and do the kind of things that Mike was just talking about. You don't have to give away muck off. You don't have to give away anything. But gathering those people together in a place is kind of the point of this. So yeah, I'd like to just add another little. It just reminded me of one of a story from the Trash Mob Academy, and it was one of the ones that Ollie was delivering that I came along to the graduation of, and it speaks to this idea of belonging we've been talking about, this idea of connection, and the concept of ownership that we're trying to develop perhaps in people that don't have that, like Mike was talking about, visitors that come to the area that they clearly don't have a sense of ownership over the place if they're willing to treat it in that way. So it was I can't remember a name, but we were riding around. They'd done a couple of sessions with Ollie and the guys, and they were like, you know, it was quite fun. They were getting on and stuff, and 2 of the girls were like getting it. They were like, yeah, I'll pick up rubbish and stuff, and one of them was just like, no, I'm not having it. You know, I'm not going to pick up anybody else's rubbish, and I don't care what you've told me. This is boring. But it was like we were having a bit of fun and we were joking, and I was like, okay, so is there anywhere you wouldn't drop rubbish? And she says, no, I'll drop it anywhere. I was like, okay, so what about like your garden? She goes, oh, my parents will pick it up. I was like, right, okay, what about your living room? She goes, yeah, my mum will pick it up. So, right, okay, what about your bedroom? And she goes, no, not my bedroom. I was like, right, okay, got ya. And she said, so I was like, okay, so why not your bedroom? And she's like, well, you know, it's where I chill out. It's where my friends come around. It's my space. And I was like, okay, well, what if we've had a good day today. You've been getting on with Ollie. You've been getting on with your mates here. What if I told you that this place means as much to me and Ollie as it does your bedroom does to you. And she was sort of like, you know what I mean? But it captured something in her, and it made her think twice about the belonging and the ownership that she thinks she has over a bedroom that we have to our trails and our wild places. So I just felt like I had to tell that story because it's such a good one. So yeah, over to Rach now for the first ask that we're asking of Community Hubs, and then we're going to put that back to some questions from you guys hopefully as well. So yeah, over to Rach.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, and please do, if you do have any questions along the way, drop them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go as well. So it's kind of been mentioned by Ollie and Mike and Rich as well. So we have through 2023, we have 4 big trail cleaning days. So they're going to be 4 days we want to activate our community around, to get out, connect with each other, connect with themselves, and connect with their wild places local to them. And our first big one is coming up next month, which is really, really exciting. So we're using Earth Day, which is if you don't know, is an annual celebration of our planet and the various kind of environmental actions happening around the world. It happens on April 22nd, and we're using that as a kind of touchstone moment to activate our community to kind of organize their own trail cleans. And that is whether that's on your own, just going out on a walk, on a run, on a ride, and getting out with a bag and picking up stuff, whether it's getting your mates to come with you or your family to come with you and do the same thing, or whether it's to host a kind of larger scale community event. And we're really hoping and encouraging our community hubs, whether that's someone who's brand new or perhaps someone who's had a relationship with us kind of in years past, to look at what it would be like and whether they have capacity to host a community trail clean. So the kind of first thing to say is, if you've never done that before, don't worry, because actually it's a wonderfully simple kind of community event to put on. And actually the kind of hardest work comes from actually just connecting with people. And you're all here, and that to me is a sure sign that you're all people who you like connecting with people, you like having conversations with people. And that's really at the heart of how you activate your community, the community around you, to join in with an event like this. What we have is a host your own trail clean kit, which is a bit more of a kind of in-depth document about how to go about doing this. And it runs through everything from the kind of logistical, kind of legal and insurance side of things of how we do trail cleaning. And kind of what you need to do, you know, if you're going and doing it, for example, in a local park in your area, if, you know, what are the particular avenues to go around of like notifying the authority who manage that space. So also stuff about how to promote it as an event. And that is personally my favorite bit. As the communications person, I love chatting about what people are up to. And so there's loads of kind of in-depth detail in that document about how to do that. If you are already signed up as a community hub, you're going to receive that email tomorrow. And if you haven't, you can head to our website, to the community hubs page, and you can sign up after this event. I'll send through a link in a little bit. And then you'll receive that email as well. And equally, you can get in touch with myself or Rich, and we'll also send that to you as well. And you can kind of have a look through. The kind of main thing we need at this point in time is, if you are keen to host a community event, is to send the time, the date and the location to Rich, and I'll send through his email in the chat in a little bit as well. We say we're hosting this around Earth Day, so on April 22nd, and we're really hoping that we see a lot of people are able and available to host events on that day. But if you're like, look, I'm doing something, it's my niece's 12th birthday and I cannot miss that on that day, that's totally okay. And you can I completely lost my train of thought. You can look at hosting it on another day, perhaps in that week or the day after. Just let us know and we'll work around that. So the first thing to do is to send that through. And then we get onto the fun bit of kind of promoting your event. So we can do various things to support you with that. We'll be doing a lot of stuff from March 29th, which is when our Earth Day campaign officially launches. So you consider yourselves on the inside, because you've got, inside scoop that nobody else has, which is quite fun. But yeah, we'll be talking about it a lot from March 29th all the way through April. So if you want us to support you with promoting your event through the TFT kind of social channels, you can get in contact with us and we'll help you do that. And then we also have kind of support on things like also how to submit the data from your trail clean to the state of our trails report. And if you're not aware of what that is, that's our kind of academic research projects that we do long term with TFT, where we go out and do trail cleans, we collect data, we literally count everything we find, and we submit it into a report which is forming the first ever academic study into the kind of amount of single-use pollution that is out in kind of terrestrial ecosystems, so out in trails, out in woodlands, and also in kind of urban parks as well. It's a really, really amazing study to kind of be a part of, and it's a really fantastic thing to also galvanize your community around, that you're not just supporting your local area and your local ecosystem, you're also contributing to wider scientific research that will inform things like lobbying. It could inform policy in the kind of next 5 to 10 years. So it's a really, really exciting part of this kind of project. I'm aware of the fact I've just shared lots of information with you. So I'll put it all in writing in the chat as well. And if you have any questions, do flag it with me. The best bit about hosting community events is that when you promote things, you figure out that actually people want to get involved with things like litter picking, who you never would have thought of otherwise. It's a great way to connect with people in your community who you might not have otherwise. So in that example that Mike was saying about people coming into the bike shop who maybe weren't bikers and would never go in that space before, this is a real unique moment to bring together people who might not be in your kind of standard customer base, but might come in anyway because they're invested in the local area and things like wider environmental issues as well. So it should be quite a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see what you guys get up to. Okay, I'll stop rambling now. Any questions, just throw them in the chat.
Great. Okay, cool. Thanks, Rach. Just to pick up on the State of Our Trails report quickly. So that's like a really easy thing that a TFT Community Hub might want to do. Is part of how that research is going to achieve its aims is if we're able to measure a sustained reduction in single-use pollution on trails, right? And the only way we're going to do that is if people, places, ourselves keep going back to the same places. Now, pedal progression, for example, has trails straight out the door. And if you were to adopt a trail or any trail, or even a section of trail, and do it every quarter, every month, however often you want to do it, and you're able to monitor that and contribute that data to the State of Our Trails report. So just in that, you would have noticed that I said a bit of trail. So for us, it's way better for the data that we get, or you are able to provide, to be super accurate, but as small than, you know, like a bit of a guess over a 5K, right? So if you're able to adopt 100 meters of somewhere that you might think is a particularly bad place, but you're able to count every single item, that's way better than a huge sort of guess. Like I say, we're able, because when we do an event and there's like so many people there and we all know exactly what the categories are and stuff, we're able to, you know, get everything out in a huge line, and it's great for the photos and stuff. But it's important to know that when you see all of that on social media, that isn't what it's always like, and that isn't always the best way of doing it. If there's just like 5 or 6 of you with 10 bags of rubbish, like that's quite a task to, yeah, I know you've just been out and litter picked it all. The last thing you want to do is get your hands dirty and count every single last bit. So, you know, it's kind of how you want to work it. And if anybody wanted any more information about the State of Our Trails report specifically, you can find it on the website, or just fire one of us a shout, because there's a couple of other kind of layers to it as well. I do just want to give a couple of people in here a little shout out. So the first one is Emily from Comrie Croft. So Emily and the guys heard about Purposeful Adventure through someone else, so I'm going to give a bit of a shout out, is Ali. We're Purposeful Adventure Friendly Places. And that was a bit of an experiment, really, because we wanted to see the appetite for this kind of thing. And Emily and Will from Comrie asked me a really good question. It's like, okay, great, but what do you want us to do? And this is it. We sort of didn't have the answer to that, but now I'm putting that question back to you guys. Like, what do you guys think a community hub might need to fulfill their function as a remote Trails HQ? is that a physical display? Is that more digital stuff in like forms and logos and photos and anything digital, or is it something else? Todo, I'll get to you in a sec. Yeah, so I'll put that to our panel for now, if that's all right. So Ollie, what do you think a TFT community would need to fulfill your function as a remote Trash Free Trails HQ, beyond what all of the great stuff you're already doing, obviously? You're muted.
Sorry, can you say that again? What would
you need, or what do you think you might need in order to like properly fulfill a function as a Trash Free Trails community hub? Would a physical display work? If so, what might that look like? Would you want like, I don't know, one-to-one, or like a local person that you could speak to, or more digital stuff?
I think I think like I've been thinking about this idea for a while, having some kind of a physical display. I think like when you have like digital stuff's really good, and obviously all the the social media and everything is great, but when you have people come round to the shop, it kind of it draws their eye. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but like with the purposeful adventure stuff, we got kind of like a little notice board and put all the purposeful adventure things on, and it's just something to draw interest. And then once someone's kind of been directed to that, or their eye's been caught by it, then they start reading little things, and then that can have dates and events and stuff like that on it. I think that could be a really it's kind of super simple in a way.
Like a sort of center piece with a blackboard or something,
like a community notice board, somewhere to put a community notice board, and it could have like what we collected last time, like have some stats from what we collected last time, when the next trail cleans are, or when the next, on our purposeful adventure one we had, when the next purposeful adventures are, and actually I really like hearing about Mike's idea for the sign-up sheet. I hadn't really thought of that, like getting people in to actually write their name down. Yeah, if you were to like write, I don't know how this works with like data protection and stuff, but like if you to write your name down kind of on the next sign-up sheet, which is almost like on display in the shop, that then gives you that sense of like, I'm definitely going to go back there. I'm gonna do that. We don't run the cafe here, but we've got a cafe round behind us, so to be able to get something into that space as well.
How's it going? How's it going with the cafe? Are there still a couple of clashes? Last time we were there, it was a little bit new owners.
It's a hilarious place. We're all good. We keep in relationships. Actually, the team that are in there at the moment are great. Yeah, we're keeping relationships sweet. The guy who we clashed with, he moved on. But yeah, so I think there's scope for that. But like in that sense, I think a physical display would be really nice. And then also just like we're quite a small business, and like a lot of our staff are like one-dayers, so they'll do like 1 day a week, and they're a bit ad hoc. So just what I sometimes find difficult is like letting everyone know all the time about what's going on. So like I'll create little like briefing sheets for staff so they can just read them when they come in, but stuff like that, just so that when potential people who are going to come on the trail cleans or the purposeful adventure, they're actually talking to people in the shop who know what's going on, and they get that kind of face-to-face verbal communication as well as the display. Yeah, okay,
cool. So the like the TFT corner, if you like, is that we're trying to develop as part of this. So
yeah,
I think if you guys want to make one, anybody wants to just have a go at one, even if, like you say, even if it's a blackboard in the corner for now, and you just experiment with what goes on it. With the you can download the logo stencils and stuff off to make your own kind of sign. So I mean, the physical thing would be great, I think, and the more I would help them, definitely do that better. Sorry, Todo asked a question about the State of Our Trails report, and Rachel put some of the answers into the the chat there, but we're not across it. So Dom, our founder and CEO, does the research, and he's actually going to refocus a little bit as of next week. And then when he goes on holiday to only be working on Trash Free Trails 1 day a week, and the rest of the time he's going to be on the State of a Trails report. So it's a big moment for him and us to be able to do that. So I don't know the exact research questions. I'm sorry, but I can tell you that it aims to understand the causes, impacts and prevalence of single-use pollution. So why it's there, what it's doing, and how much of it there is. And when we say that it's the first and only study of its kind, they're the three like components of that. So it's difficult to work out the causes, but that's why we have qualitative like research, qualitative interviews that we do with people at events to get some understanding as to that impacts. He's got 3 or 4, I think, 5 even study locations in North Wales where the landowner, National Resources Wales, has given him permission to leave bits of rubbish weighted down or tied down out in the environment so they can see what happens. So some, one quite interesting part of that is they've tied it to like a big stick, and usually that would all get washed away, but because they've been able to tie it to a stick, they can see what happens to stuff if it doesn't move in like a flooded area. It's like a little bit up from the river, if you know what I mean. And then prevalence is how much is out there and the brands and stuff. So Lucozade, Coca-Cola and Red Bull are consistently the top 3, followed by Monster, Cadbury's, I think, and then you're into the like Walkers and stuff. So the kind of stuff that we find is the same kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. It's single-use snacks, food on the go, that kind of stuff. So I'll put that to Mike as well as the other person on our panel. What and you're not allowed to say a physical thing. What do you think a community hub might need? I think maybe might be better for you to come at this from the like
other side.
So,
the
example. Like, what would you want to see walking into a TFT Community Hub?
So coming in, something physical would be ideal. And I think
say that, but okay.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. Again, Ollie mentioned it is actually knowledgeable. Someone knowledgeable to talk to, not in depth, but actually, what does that mean? Can you tell me what it is? Because I don't like trash on my trails, and go from there. Okay. The digital side, yeah, fantastic. For any company, we're all fighting over market space in the digital world of advertising. Having an organisation such as Trash Free Trails that can shout about it, gain audience that you might not have been able to reach before, is absolutely huge. It makes a massive difference if one of my pictures makes it onto the Trash Free Trail Instagram. I feel really proud and happy, but also I know it's showing off, what we're doing down here and hopefully encouraging other people. So I was thinking a customer that doesn't know is probably easier because you can just talk them through trail cleans to go like that. Someone that does know about Trash Free Trails, it's probably telling them, actually, this is what we have planned. How can you help? And it's probably finding those key individuals in the community that might even like lead some of these for you, or become your right-hand man, right-hand woman, and just go, actually, I want to help and do this, and I'll invest my time into helping you make this a success. Easier said than done, but they are out there.
Yeah, no, and I know they're out there because one of them is in this room, and that's John. So I was speaking to John. Was it earlier? It might have been today. Might have been yesterday. It's all blurs into one. John, go for it if you don't mind.
What do you want me to say? I am listening, but I've got my girlfriend in front of me doing yoga, so
distracting. I was just
my attention is diverted.
We were talking about yesterday. We were talking about how you might act as the kind of person that Mike was kind of acting as that, the person in the community that makes this stuff happen. So the people like John are out there, and I guess if it's okay, sorry to kind of put you on the spot a little bit, but as that member of the community, what would you want to feel as equipped as you could do in order to talk about this kind of thing? Would like something like this, but just specifically about how to talk about trash-free trails,
I think so, yeah. It's keep it simple for me, because you can sort of go on for ages and say this is what we want. You can go into the academia. It's not going to help people. You want to speak to, for instance, in the bike shop, on the mechanic. So I'm out back, so I won't see people most of the time. You have to stick your head out. But you want to speak to kids that are coming after school, and you want them to be engaged. We talked about the demographic is quite old in the place where I am. They're going to say that litter is caused by the young kids. The young kids will probably think that the elderly population are always going to accuse them. You want them to work together and have everything in between. When I'm not in the bike shop, I don't want them to go up to someone and say, what's it about? And they say, well, that's John's thing. That's my worry of having one person that leads it. Yeah. So you almost want to get everyone working together, but you don't have to sit them in a training session necessarily. So it's keeping it simple. What's it about? It's about our community. One thing I think is to have a map of the area and get people to own it. And because it's a little bit urban, you could almost get them to adopt like a street, shade it in as it's picked up as you get towards World Earth Day, and get those people to adopt those. So you can say we've done 50% of Aldlam, the area we're in. And then you say next World Earth Day, when you get to Environment Day, we've got another 50%. So you can actually see that you're targeting it. You won't get it in one day, but it's just sharing those ideas really. And probably what doesn't work is really useful as well. We tried this, and you know what? It was the best of intentions, but it was a bit of a waste of time. So, and that's really valuable from my point of view.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like Dom Winter echoes that as well. That were you talking about the kind of the like grid referencey kind of style of taking ownership of an area? I think that might be something. I mean, I imagine the mechanics of doing that on a bigger scale, on the like scale of the UK, might be difficult for us to orchestrate from our end, but there must be something we can do. So we'll definitely put a little TFT Community Hubs interactive map up, and you'll be able to zoom in on those areas. And we'll look to see if there's a function whereby, like the Aldlam Community Hub is looking after this zone on the map, something like that. And yeah, that's a good one, man. Thank you for your.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just echo something, John, you've shared about the feeling of giving your community ownership over an area or a place? And I think that's one of the things, it really touches on something we talk about a lot in TFT about the story of what we do. We talk a lot about storytelling and telling the stories within our community, because every individual who like posts on their Instagram that they picked up a pocket full of litter on like their weekend dog walk is part of our story, is part of our journey. And that's a really unique way to bring people in. It really engages people and makes them really know that they are part of something. And that's not like a disingenuous feeling. That is genuinely what it's like with TFT. And it's a really, at least in the time I've been part of this organization, it's a really unique part of what we do. And there's something to be said about how you take that and transform that into like the really, really hyper local thing of when you host trail cleaning events in your local community, giving a bunch of 14-year-olds who get dragged along by their parents who don't really want to get involved, and you say, look, if you remove all the litter from this place, you're going to get this kind of thing, or you'll have this kind of reward out of it, or this kind of feeling in yourself. That gives them a sense of ownership over it and a sense of it being part of their own story as well as the wider story of your community. And that's a really unique thing to have, and also it's a really big thing that we lack a sense of like really shared identity with our locality, especially in the UK and especially at the moment. And so actually this is a real opportunity to create that for people as well. So I really appreciate what you shared there, John. It's really, really important. I also wanted to share the idea of giving people different areas on the kind of bit you're working on to remove litter from really reminded me of, there's an amazing endurance runner called Ricky Gates who did a project called Every Single Street several years ago, where he ran every single street in San Francisco where he lived at the time. And one of the things that he noticed, he took a lot of photos and documentation of things he noticed that were repeated in the city, and one of the things he noticed the most of was the litter. And so it's really telling that actually you could have that really scientific methodological approach with your community and create something really special with them as well. So I just wanted to flag that as well.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Rach. Yeah, there's another guy. It might have even been the same guy his Broadway Run Club Instagram mapped he was finding it as he was running around the city blocks. Sounds very similar. Yes. What was the name of the San Fran Runner Rage? I did have something else to say, but it's just fallen straight out of my head. So I'm really sorry about that. I wonder, yeah, I mean, maybe that's the time to call it, unless oh no, that's it. So something me and Don Winter are working on is something that's a bit of the bigger picture kind of thing. So we don't do climate change, the big one, really. What we do is we connect people with nature through the beautifully simple act of removing single-use pollution. Protect Our Winters has a bigger remit in many ways, and something we are working on, or me and Dom are kind of trundling along on in the background a little bit, is a kind of a how-to toolkit, maybe, about little things that you can do in your day-to-day that might help you improve your impact, I guess. So Dom, do you want to talk about that a little bit more? Just because you guys you might be the kind of people that will receive that kind of information, and yeah, go for it, Dom.
Yeah, cheers. It's basically, if we can provide just a little bit of information for community groups or businesses about climate change, so that everyone can receive climate change on whichever sport. If you're a mountain bike centre, like the impact of climate change on mountain biking in that area. And then it's like a few simple steps that people can take. But I think this goes back to what John was saying, where we don't want to overdo it and create this big training package that's just overdone. So yeah, just any thoughts on what format that best looks like? Ollie was saying you sort of put out sheets, it sounds like, sort of two-siders or something of some information. So yeah, just working out if we can create something that's maybe one on climate change and one on more information on trash or nature connection, or one that does both. But yeah, what's the simplest way we could help you train your staff on these topics, I think, is really the question.
It's interesting because it's part of the same, like the overarching question here is like, what do you want to be a Trash-Free Trails Community Hub, is the same kind of question as what would that kind of information look like? What would you need to know? And yeah, the overcomplication thing is huge for us. So yeah, any input is helpful. But also, like, if you come with something after this chat, then we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up in the chat, or if you think about it, give us a shout over email. You've all got my email. I think I've pretty much spoken to most people here. Yeah. Anybody? We've got 10 seconds. Okay, no worries. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, let's wrap it up there then, if that's all right. If everybody's hungry, everybody looks hungry now. Just finally on I think one of my key takeaways from this is John's comment about overcomplicating it. We do a lot of that, and we understand people can get overwhelmed with the information sometimes. So we'll definitely take that away and think about how to simplify the message a little bit, particularly in this kind of pilot phase. But again, the more feedback from you guys, the better we can make it for you. So on that note, we are a community first and foremost, as we've been talking about this whole time, and we've got loads of stuff for people to get involved with throughout the course of the year. So look out for Earth Day spring cleans, look out for the Trash Mob Academy that we're delivering at High Lodge, look out for the Trash Mob Academy that we're delivering with Emily up in Comby Croft in June, look out for Purposeful Adventures in the summer, look out particularly for those of you who are a little bit more interested in the research, for the Trails Report publication, and then the summit that will be live on the 7th or 8th of September. Halloween trail cleans later on in the year, Kendall Mountain Festival, Trash Mob Academy again in the Lake District. We've got Nature Connection research running along in the background, and throughout all of that, there's something for everybody to get involved with, because remember, riders, runners, and roamers, and everyone's welcome. We're going to share some links and stuff after this, and then, like I say, if you've got any more questions, or if you don't have them for the PDF, or you come up with an idea, or even better, if you design a physical thing, we want to see that, and we want to give you some love for it, and who knows, we might be able to turn it into something real in the flesh that we can put out to the community. So yeah, thanks again for joining us, everyone, and yeah, look out for all that stuff. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers, Ollie.